This week I have the Subaru Solterra in my garage, and it is an electric car, and if you think this looks familiar, you are not wrong. It looks a lot like the Toyota BZ4X. Now, I'm going to do a tech review of this vehicle, and yeah, that looks like what you see in the Toyota BZ4X too. So before I get into it, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about what the differences are. And basically, the differences are things you can't see. So this has standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, so it's a system produced by Subaru. It has X mode, which allows you to do some mild off-roading. But why would you want to do that with only about 200 miles of range? I digress. And it has more horsepower and torque. So this comes standard with 249 horsepower and 201 pound-feet of torque. So you're looking at about 50 more horsepower than what you would get in the BZ4X. So you have standard all-wheel drive, you have more horsepower and torque, and you have dual motors, so two 80-kilowatt motors. Those are the primary differences you're going to see between the Solterra and the BZ4X. But yeah, the design, same, and the technology, samer. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at this week's car du jour, the Subaru Solterra. Okay, before I get behind the wheel and take a look at the interior, there's one exterior thing that I want to look at that is kind of tech related. And I've popped the hood because I know people are going to ask me, does the Subaru Solterra have a frunk? So let's just answer that question. So you have a hood release like you would in a normal ICE vehicle. And yeah, you even have the stick to hold it up. I'm not really sure what you're looking at under here because you're probably not going to touch anything except for maybe the washer fluid. But yeah, no frunk. There is no frunk here, but there is space for some fluids and things like that. But otherwise, the orange stuff that you see, don't touch that. It's electrical. But yeah, no frunk here. Now, I would normally start my interior tech check with a look at what is going on here. But because I'm in my garage and I have to leave my garage, I figured we're just going to dig right into the camera and what the camera looks like on the screen. And then we will talk about how obviously all of this is Toyota when we get out of my garage. So, all right, I'm gonna buckle up here, and to put the vehicle into drive, you have to push this little hockey puck down and then switch into drive. But because I am close, you'll notice as soon as I push down, this camera system came on because I am a little bit close to some spots. So in this system, if you're driving forward and you come close to something, your cameras pop on. So I like that. It's not just a reverse system. Now, the other thing that I want to point out here is I really like how clear this is in terms of the definition of the camera. And so you can do some different camera angles here. That's kind of cool. I haven't seen that before. And you can turn your dynamic guidelines on and off. So, you know, as you're turning the wheel, it shows the trajectory of the entire vehicle. So it's not just from the front, it shows like a little bit from the back. I don't know that I've seen that before. Usually the dynamic guidelines come from just the front or just the back if you're backing up. Oh, that's the automatic camera, so it pops on when you're close to something. So, yeah, so we're in drive. I'm just going to go ahead and pull out of my garage so you can see what's going on. And this is another really cool thing that happens is initially it's like either body colored or, you know, black. But as you move forward, it takes a picture of what you're driving over and kind of shows what is underneath the vehicle, and it kind of makes this invisible, which is really, really cool. And that is a very Toyota thing. That is not something that is on a Subaru. Okay, so we have backed out of my garage, or driven, like pulled out of my garage, not backed out. And so now I'm gonna back into my garage, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're in a bright space now, and again, this is a high def area, and I just want you to see what it looks like with the transition between the dark and light. And you know what? I'm going to pause for a minute because this is something that I find very incredibly annoying. Every time I go into reverse, you get that bling, 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 which is the Toyota chime for hooking your seatbelt. Really flipping annoying. I haven't looked yet to see if I can turn that off, but I really, really hope that you can because, yeah, I know I'm in reverse. The reverse camera is up. I know I'm in reverse. I don't need that. Okay, so, transitioning. And again, you can see it's taking the pictures and showing you what's under the vehicle as I move into the space. And as I go from light to dark, the camera is still really bright and visible. And I think that's amazing because you don't always see that in a lot of reverse cameras. It'll be bright when you're outside, and then as soon as you get into a dark space, you can't see what's going on. Okay, that blingy blingy thing has to go away. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out of my garage. We're gonna find a nice little shady spot, and we're gonna just take a look at what else is going on here. All right, now that I've found my spot in the shade, let's talk about what is going on here. And you know what? I think the first thing I need to talk about is going to be this right here. This is your gauge cluster, and it pops up over the steering wheel for me. Now I have, and this is exactly the same setup that you see in the BZ4X. And I have heard a lot of taller drivers say that even with the flat top and flat bottom of the steering wheel, that this bisects the gauge cluster for their driving position. But I'm trying to put this camera as level as I can with my eyes so you can see from my driving position, it is perfect. The top of the wheel and, the gauge cluster are completely this is perfect. And so I will point out, I do have the steering wheel a little bit lower, so I have probably about an inch or two between the bottom of the steering wheel and my leg. And that's comfortable for me, but that's not comfortable for a lot of people. So if you were looking at the Subaru Solterra, this is definitely, you're going to need to spend some time in adjusting the steering wheel and the seat for your driving position to see if this blocks that, because there is no head-up display. There is nothing else that is going to show you your gauges except for this right here. And with the narrow space between the wheel and the horn area, I don't even think that you're going to be able to get this up high enough so that you could see through the steering wheel. So I think that's an interesting choice. And you can tell that perhaps somebody who maybe was not tall designed this. Although I will say this was also designed with the idea of a yoke in mind, so a much more rectangular flat steering wheel in mind. And the Lexus RZ I've driven it with the yoke, and I mean, there's oodles of space between the steering wheel and the cluster. So I think there's a couple things that were going on with the design of this, and yeah, you're just going to need to check and make sure this works for you. Now, since we're pointed in this direction, I will point out this is a camera to watch your eyes, and it is a, you do have the Toyota traffic jam assist, which is the hands-free driving opportunity under 25 miles per hour on a highway. So under 25 miles per hour, you can take your hands off the wheel, but this is going to watch your eyes to make sure that you are paying attention. Okay, so then we move over here, and yeah, all of this is going to look very, very familiar if you were familiar with Lexus and Toyota vehicles, because this right here is the Toyota infotainment system. It fills out the screen really well. You do have wireless Apple CarPlay, which also fills out the screen really well. And you have, I mean, this is the Toyota system. I've given Subaru a hard time in the past because I feel like the gauges and graphic elements in their native system are a little bit dated, but this is your main page for the infotainment screen, and you can scroll through, you know, some of your items here, and you can get to your vehicle and your settings. But this is the Toyota infotainment system. So that, I think, is good news. One of the things that you share with Toyota that I really like. I think they did a good job there because I like the Toyota infotainment system. I think it's a pretty good system. And again, you have the wireless Apple CarPlay, which is really good. Now, okay, we talked about this a little bit, but here is your little hockey puck gear shift, and you simply, like, to put it, you know, you're looking at the instructions and it looks like you would just turn it, but you don't. You do need to push it and turn it to put it into drive, reverse. Oh no, we got to get out of that. Okay, so to move the wheel, and then to put it into neutral, you just simply pop the ring down. So I know that's an important thing to know for if you are in a car wash. So just, that's neutral. You just pop it down. And then the park is the button above. All pretty easy peasy stuff. So this doesn't have one pedal driving per se, but it does allow for a more aggressive braking regeneration. So you press this button, and when you are, you know, in your gauge cluster, you can see that it's on right there. And when you put it into drive, you can also see that you have, next to the D, the max regeneration possible. And if you want to change it and you want a little less, you can use your paddle shifters. So you have a plus pedal shifter right here and a minus pedal shifter right there. So the plus, completely unintuitively, takes away your regeneration until it's gone. And then again, if you want more regeneration, you hit the minus button and you can add it back in until it's full steam, and you can see, you know, that little button is on. But if you want the max regeneration, you can just always hit this button when you get in the vehicle. It does, I don't think it defaults to on. So you're going to have to hit that every time. It does not default on. I'm like searching through my memory. It does not default on. So you're going to have to hit that button every time if you would like to have the most regeneration possible. So this is just your auto hold. So when you stop it, you can take your foot off the brake. And then you have your X mode buttons over here. So we mentioned that in the intro. So you have a couple of drive modes here for dirt and snow, and then deep snow and mud. Remembering this has Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. So then you, in addition to that, you also have some drive modes that you can hit, which is literally just power and eco, and then normal. So then you have your camera right here. So if you want it to be up and you want to see what's going on around you, you can hit that and it will give you your camera views, and then take you back to your main menu as you cycle through. So that's a good location for the camera button. And then this right here is going to be your parallel park function. So if you are driving and you don't know how to parallel park, this will park it for you. So you know what? Maybe we'll look at that in a minute. The last thing I want to show you is this right here. So you have this little cover that pops up and it houses your charger. And I didn't drive like 3 hours in this vehicle because 200 miles of range, not going to do that. But I did have like about an hour drive out to the suburbs, an hour drive back. I had my phone in here. It didn't overheat. And I like the fact that it has a covered space. Now, the only downfall of this, and again, as an owner, you would probably not have the problem, but the problem I had, because I'm not familiar with having a cover over my phone, is I kept forgetting my phone in the car. Because I would put it in the space and it would hide it away, and yeah, then I would forget it was there. I think I went into a restaurant once, and I went into a... I went home. I went up into my house, and I was like, wait a minute, where's my phone? Yeah. stuck in here. So, and this does not have any kind of a don't forget your phone reminder. I've seen that on some Volkswagen vehicles. This does not have that. But I think this works pretty well, doesn't overheat your phone, and you will see you do have a USB-A charge port in here as well. So if you didn't want to use the charger, or if your phone doesn't accept a wireless charging situation, you can just plug in and still close this up. And if you leave your phone in here, like I did, nobody's really going to know it's there. All right, now let's go find a parking space to test out the parking function. Now, one of the interesting things that you have to do with this system, and it does park you on either side of the street, is you actually have to pull up next to the spot you want, stop, and press the button. And so it has measured the spot for me. It says that I can fit, essentially, and then I'm going to hit the start button, and it's telling me to remove the brake. It turned on my blinker for me, and it's going to steer me into the spot. So it moved me forward to put me in the right position to be able to back up the vehicle. And you can see here the outline is where it wants the vehicle to sit. And it's noticing somebody coming in behind me. And I am touching the brake here. It is moving me forward, but I am using the brake. Okay, this is really cool. So it's essentially showing you a complete around view of the vehicle after it has parked. And it shows, you know, your view there, your view there. It put the vehicle in park and it unlocked my doors. I would want to play with those settings just a little bit, because I don't unlock my doors when I park until I'm ready to exit the vehicle. So I would want to play with that just a little bit. But that was pretty good. And I parked on the other side of the street. You know what? Let's see if does it exit the space? Yes, it does. So select exit direction. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit start. I took my foot off the brake. It reversed me. It's moving me forward now. It turned on my blinker for me. And, oh, apparently I'm not supposed to press the accelerator. Okay. So I press the brake pedal. Start. Okay, it didn't like my angle, apparently. All right, I think I had enough space. I would have gone forward if I were driving. Okay, so it's a little bit glitchy. All right. Okay, that's a little bit touchy. But, I mean, I think it worked pretty well. I feel like I do a good job parallel parking. I would probably never use this system because it's not going to park in small spaces, but it will pick a space that it definitely thinks that it has enough space to fit into. I see a space up here on the right, so you know what? We're gonna do this again. So I'm gonna pull up next to the space. I'm going to hit the park button. That's the spot I want. I'm going to hit start. It put on my blinker for me. I removed my foot from the brake. Wow, that's a lot of steering wheel movement. Okay, that didn't work right. and there's a car in front of me that's like, what in the hell are you doing? I would have done this much faster. Okay, so this is definitely a system for somebody who has no idea how to parallel park. And apparently I didn't actually need to keep my foot on the brake, but it was making me nervous. So it's centering me up. It's moving me into the little block where it thinks I should be. There you go. I probably would have centered this up a little bit more, but again, this is going to be a system for somebody who doesn't know how to parallel park. And it does a good job. It does a good job. I would do better. It does a good job. Before I close out this review, I did want to dig into the menu items a little bit on this vehicle. So when you go into this little wheel icon here, you do have some settings that you can go into. And I did figure out that when you go into vehicle customize door control, you can change this right here. So remember when I was doing the park thing and I was just like, yeah, I don't want it to auto unlock when it shifts into park. Like you can turn all of this stuff off. So like if you, like I lock the doors pretty much immediately when I get into a vehicle. But you know, maybe just in case as a fail-safe, you know, lock when you go into park, but auto unlock, I don't like that. And then you can adjust some of these things too. So, you know, I have it set to unlock the driver door only. But if you regularly have passengers, maybe you want it to unlock all doors. I'm leaving it at driver door only. Now, the one thing that I couldn't find was how to change that setting for the sound when you are in backup. And, you know, I went into, you know, the display, I went into the sound and media, and it wasn't in that. I looked at general notifications. So Subaru owners, or I guess I should say Solterra owners, or you know, and Toyota doesn't do this. So it's specifically your Solterra owners. If you know how to turn off that bling bling when you are in reverse, comment below, because if I can't find it, there are going to be other people who can't find it, and maybe it just doesn't exist. But if it exists, we want to share that with people. I couldn't find it. But yeah, I mean, again, you can control your lights, you can control your, you know, and like info and security, that's not it. Usually there's like a safety setting or something, and I haven't been able to find that. I'll look a couple more places, but yeah, I haven't found it. So if you know where that is, comment below. That is just a quick tech check in the Subaru Solterra. And I like it. I like the tech in this vehicle. I have given Subaru a really hard time previously for some of its technology because I feel like it's a little bit dated, it's a little bit laggy, and yeah, everything is done through that large vertical screen. I think it looks good, mostly when you're in Apple CarPlay, but some of the native apps and configurations don't look as good. But in this system, I like the fact that you have volume buttons and you can have little toggle switches to deal with your temperature controls. So overall, I like this system. It's not a Subaru system. Take that for whatever it's worth. This is going to be very different. If you are a Subaru owner, this is going to be very different than the vehicles that you are used to. It is what it is. Now, one final thing I think I want to mention before I sign off is, because this is a Toyota system, you're probably going to have some subscription fees. I mean, you're definitely going to have a subscription fee for Wi-Fi, but for map updates, for remote connect, and for remote starting your vehicle, preconditioning, that kind of stuff, is probably going to be a subscription fee. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't dug into it, but because this is a Toyota system, I'm just gonna venture a guess. And so what I would recommend that you do is that if you are looking at this vehicle, ask questions. Ask what the free trials are, ask what the subscription fees will be when the trials end, and just know where you are and what you can do and what it's going to cost you at the end of the day. Because you're spending a lot of money on this vehicle, and then you're going to be paying a monthly fee or an annual fee to use the software. So, just a heads up on that. Okay, that is literally all I have for you with this tech check on the Subaru Solterra. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time with a new car du jour.